This presentation covers the benchmark review process partnership districts will complete in the fall.
This slide explains the intended purpose and objective for our time together. Section 4 and Appendix B of the OPD Comprehensive Guide for Partnership Districts covers the benchmark review process. The document has been updated and is on the OPD website under Resources. We've organized today's presentation into 4 areas: timeline, expectations, responsibilities, and next steps.
There are 4 major activities in the benchmark review process timeline: documentation of evidence, benchmark assessment, structured conference, and summary report. As a reminder, partnership agreements in the benchmark review process are governed by Michigan legislation, Section 388.1621H and 388.1622P. This slide is designed to illustrate the timeline of the 4 activities, beginning with the initial district communication. Note that the district and ISD RESA have separate windows for documentation of evidence and benchmark assessment. The purple rectangle illustrates the district window. The light green rectangle is the ISD RESA window. All partnership districts will have their structured conference between September 23 and December 13, 2024. The exact date of the district structure conference will dictate the documentation of evidence and assessment deadlines. As such, the timeline shows an overlap between the district and ISD and RESA only from the standpoint that each district has a unique structured conference date. The time frame for the benchmark review process is governed by Michigan legislation and the need for districts to have sufficient time to make mid-course corrections before students complete state assessments in the spring of 2025. The window to document evidence in MyKIP and complete the self-assessment will begin for all districts on July 1, 2024. This is illustrated with the broken out timeline in the purple rectangle. The deadline to complete the self-assessment will vary based upon the district structure conference date. The deadline to complete the documentation of evidence and self-assessment aligns with a district structure conference date. For example, a district whose structure conference is scheduled for October 17 will have a deadline of September 5 to complete the documentation of evidence and self-assessment. The preliminary benchmark review summary report serves as documentation for the process and is provided to the district within 20 business days of their structured conference. A final benchmark review summary report must wait for the public release of accountability before it can be completed.
There are 3 application platforms districts will use during the benchmark review. The Michigan Integrated Continuous Improvement Process Platform, or MyKIP, will be used by districts to upload data and evidence relative to their goal areas and interim target benchmarks, strategies, and activities. Districts who had a previous partnership agreement may recall that evidence was uploaded in the GEMS Mars platform. Next, the platform SurveyMonkey will be used by the district to complete a self-assessment of each benchmark as either met or not met. ISD RESAs and OPD will also complete a benchmark assessment via SurveyMonkey for each supported district. And finally, districts will prepare a slide presentation using a platform of their choosing on their progress for the structured conference. This will be explained in further detail on a future slide. In MyKIP platform, under District MyKIP Portfolio, noted with a yellow rectangle, districts will use the monitor feature, noted by the green arrow, to create notes and upload evidence for each strategy. Along with ISD RESA support, PALS will assist districts in navigating MyKIP to accomplish this. We emphasize that MyKIP is the only location districts will be required to upload evidence for review by us. Through MyKIP permissions to impersonate a district, ISD RESAs will be able to review this evidence and notes. MDE will have view access to this portion of MyKIP to review the evidence and notes. Also under the district portfolio in MyKIP, districts will navigate to Monitor Interim Target Measures, noted with the yellow rectangle. Remember, interim target measures are aligned to your district's benchmarks in the partnership agreement. To upload the data object aligned to each interim target measure, districts will navigate to the small green box highlighted by the green arrow. This is where districts will click and complete the upload. These data objects align with the original data objects uploaded when the district completed the needs assessment and identified the goal areas. We provide a cautionary note about not marking a strategy, implementation activity, or interim target measure as complete. Please reference the red rectangle with a line through it. As evidence and data will not be accessible to view if checked, districts are not to mark these complete until after the structured conference. Along with ISD RESA support, PALS will assist districts in navigating MyKIP to correctly document evidence. We again emphasize that MyKIP is the only location districts will be required to upload evidence for review by MDE.
While MyKIP will host the district's continuous improvement work, including all evidence, a point-in-time self-assessment via SurveyMonkey documenting the attainment of each 18-month interim target benchmark will be completed. Using the evidence uploaded to MyKIP, districts will complete a self-assessment in SurveyMonkey for each benchmark as either met or not met. Once the district has completed the uploading of evidence in MyKIP and completed the self-assessment in SurveyMonkey, they will communicate with the ISD RESA, informing them of its completion. The ISD RESA will then review and use the evidence in MyKIP to complete its assessment of the district's interim benchmarks in SurveyMonkey. A memorandum closer to July 1 with additional guidance and documentation of evidence and self-assessment will be sent from the OPD to each district. The next key activity of the benchmark review process is the structured conference. The structured conference is an in-person meeting hosted by the district. The district may choose an off-site location. This slide outlines those attendees required to attend. Non-primary attendees may also participate virtually. Required attendees include the district superintendent or designee, the district designee working closely with the PAL, the ISD superintendent or designee, and the ISD improvement facilitator assigned to the district. Encouraged attendees include the local school board president or designee, building principals, and authorizers as applicable. Please note that the OPD highly encourage principals of schools within the partnership agreement to participate in the structured conference. Previous work with partnership districts demonstrates principals are integral to the continuous improvement process for their building. Suggested attendees include board members, the district teacher union rep, and any other persons the local superintendent feels pertinent. To support full participation and ensure the structured conference runs efficiently, a facilitator will be identified by OPD. The PAL will serve as the note taker. The district presentation takes place in the first portion of the structured conference, And during the second part, the signatory partners come to a consensus on the status of each benchmark.
A district presentation on their progress is part of the structured conference. This slide outlines the areas districts must include: progress toward interim target benchmark for each school in the partnership agreement, monitoring and adjusting summary for each strategy that speaks to fidelity of implementation, scale reach, capacity, and impact. Please note, incorporating screenshots from MyKIP is not an expectation for the presentation. Districts will also include celebrations and barriers, Section 21H awards and impact, action taken to address inequities identified in the resource allocation review, and partner support and impact. Districts will have at most 50 minutes for the presentation, and a sample PowerPoint template is available upon request. The structured conference is designed to take 3 hours. This slide shows the allocated time for each portion of the structured conference. As was shared on a previous slide, during the second half of the structured conference, the signatory partners come to a consensus on the status of each benchmark during the collaborative conversation. Then the benchmark review status business rule metrics will be discussed.
It is essential to note that the Michigan School Index is part of these metrics. As the Michigan School Index may not yet be publicly released at the structured conference, full application of the business rules cannot occur. Therefore, a discussion of the benchmark review status business rule metrics will take place. These business rules will be explained in more detail on a future slide.
Following the structured conference, OPD will develop a preliminary report, recapping the data and information shared and provided to districts within 20 business days of the structured conference. This slide highlights the contents of the report.
In addition to the preliminary report just explained, a final report is developed. The reason both are necessary is that the Michigan School Index score contributes to the school level and district's overall partnership agreement status. Prior partnership districts need to understand that this was not the case previously. The Michigan School Index will likely not be known at the time of the structured conference. Therefore, a final status cannot be determined until after the Michigan School Index's public release. As indicated on the previous slide, the Michigan School Index will likely not be known at the time of the structured conference. Therefore, a final status cannot be determined until after the Michigan School Index's public release. First, the school level status is noted with the red ellipse. Each school will have a status of either on track, off track with progress, or off track. Draw your attention to the school status of on track, shown below the green bar. This on-track status requires a school to have increased its index score from its baseline identification year, 2022. All schools will have the metric shown on this slide applied to determine school level status. Each school status is determined by the percentage of met process and interim benchmarks using local data, the count of state interim benchmarks met, and an improvement of the Michigan School Index. Each school status contributes to the district's status. If there's exactly one school in the district's partnership agreement, the status resulting from the application of the business rules as noted on this slide for the school will be the district status, meaning the school status equals the district status. Each partnership school in a district with multiple schools in the agreement will have their status determined the same way, but the district status will be based on aggregation of all partnership school statuses. This is illustrated on the next slide. This slide illustrates business rules for districts with 2 or more schools in the agreement. These business rules are not used in any manner for districts with only 1 school in the partnership agreement. In a district with multiple schools, the district status is based on an aggregation of all partnership schools' statuses. As an example, a district attains on-track status, highlighted below the green bar, if a district has exactly 2 schools, then at least one of those schools must be on track and the other school may not be off track. If a district has exactly 3 schools in the agreement, then at least 2 of those schools must be on track and the other school may not be off track. If a district has 4 or more schools in the agreement, then at least 50% of those schools must be on track and at most 1 school is off track. Following the public release of the Michigan School Index, the preliminary benchmark review summary report will be updated and become the final benchmark review summary report. The final report includes met or not met on the Michigan School Index increase, school and district status determinations, OPD director and superintendent or PSA leader signatures. OPD will update the preliminary summary with the Michigan School Index and status determination and provide it to the district for review and signature within 10 days of the public release. The PAL will coordinate the completion of the district signature and submission back to OPD. Then the OPD director's signature will be added and the final report will be posted to the OPD webpage. The district will verify with the PAL the local Board of Education or community presentation via board minutes within 60 business days of the district signing the final summary report.
This slide shows the responsibilities of each signatory partner for each activity throughout the benchmark review process. On January 29, districts received a memorandum from OPD Director Gloria Chapman about the benchmark review process. A SurveyMonkey link was included for districts to complete, indicating available dates for the structured conference. It is OPD's goal to confirm structured conference dates with each district at the beginning of March. Documentation of evidence can begin now. Districts will have until no later than 6 weeks prior to their structured conference date to complete their evidence upload in MyKIP. The Accountability, Research, and Evaluation Unit, or R Unit, of OPD will provide ongoing guidance via memorandum as needed. Additionally, they will host technical assistance office hours. Finally, the district self-assessment survey will be made available no later than July 1. Districts will have until no later than 6 weeks prior to their structured conference to complete their self-assessment survey. Scheduled level of support meetings with PALs are a perfect space to garner support needed. This concludes the benchmark review process webinar.